I just watched a video that said basically along the lines of keep your enemy the enemy and never trust him. You know, that kind of logic is very short-sighted. It doesn't give people room to grow, to change, to see the world in a different way, a different perspective. And it really locks you into a hate pattern. You know, they're always going to hate you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Now, I understand with some narcissists and psychopaths and stuff, and certain personality types, that's just the way it is. And, you know, look, you can give them $1 million and they complain it wasn't two. You know, you give them two and they complain it wasn't four. It just never ends. You know, you're never going to make them happy. I don't care what you do. I don't care how much money you give them. You can hug them all day, and their attitude is just be like, let go of me. You know, but you know, there's other people that you can shock. And I'll give you an example. I had two friends. This guy, Scott Eckerman. I met him at high school. Well, my high school was the high school, junior high school together. So I never went to high school, so I was in the junior high. And he was in the same grade as me, but he was a new student. He just got to the school, you know. He had just been there, like nobody knew him and stuff. And everybody ignored him pretty much. And I walked up to him and I said, "Hey, you want to smoke a joint?" We went into this corner outside and smoked the joint and stuff. And we struck it off, and we were friends forever. And he died of a heroin overdose that his father was responsible for. So, you know, it's a very sad person to talk about for me. I have such history with Scott, and he was my best friend. And I because of what I did and the way I treated him, I couldn't tell him I didn't like you because I would come to school the next day and you would have a black eye, and I'd be like, "What happened to your eyes?" Like, "Oh, Scott did it to me." He wouldn't tell him why, but he did, because I said I didn't like you, and I found that out. And you know, if you owed me money, he would get the money from me, you know, and I wouldn't ask him to do it. He would just do it on his own. He'd come up with the money. I'm like, oh my God! So I had to be very careful what I said around him. I couldn't openly express myself. But and there was another guy, Tommy Gannon, and I spoke about him before on other stories, but he worked at like a pinball place, you know. It was a pinball video game and all that stuff called Football World. And I don't know, he was working, so he gave me his bag of pot, you know. He had a bag of pot, and I used to sell pot at the football place, you know, big dealer. And he gave me a bag of pot just to hold because it was at work. I guess he didn't want to have it on him at work or something. I don't know. It was illegal then, so it was a different story. And he gave it to me. And, you know, and he told somebody later on during his shift what he had done, that he gave me the pot. And this person said, you know, "Oh, you gave it to Jay, and you'll never see it again. You know, that pot's gone." So, hours later, after his shift was over, I came back and I walked up to him. I was like, "You want your pot back?" You know, I was like, I didn't smoke any of it. I never touched it. You know, I was like, and he's like, "Oh," he was in shock. He was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Why'd you listen to the asshole over there? You don't know me. You don't know nothing. You know, if you did give me the pot, I probably would smoke it." But you're not him, so. You know, we and him were very good friends after that. Stayed friends for many years, and now he lives in Kentucky. So, but, you know, it's just, you can surprise people. People have an informed opinion about you, and you can change that. You know, I'm sure a lot of you had an opinion about me, and I've changed it. You know, and if you're all stuck into he's an asshole, no matter what he says, you know. You can say he's not lucky, and then he wins $1 billion lottery, and you still say he's not lucky, you know, it's just 2 and 2 don't make 4, you know, it's just don't add up. So don't listen to people that say, you know, stay away from him, he's bad news, you know, and you know, some of them are right, you know. I mean, nobody's 100%, but you know, maybe with the day they wronged you, whatever, it was just a bad day for them, you know. Maybe their wife said something, but I don't know. Maybe their boss did something. I don't know. Maybe a bill came due they couldn't cover. You know, they're addicted to drugs. And, you know, when you're dealing with crackheads, you gotta expect to get robbed. You know, it's just part of the territory, you know. It's like going to the racetrack, you know. You're gonna smell shit. You're gonna smell horse shit no matter what you do if you go to a racetrack. So, you don't not go. You just deal with it. That's life.